Welcome everyone, this is Justin Rollins, All Elite Talk. This is our Halloween edition and we are pleased to bring you a very special edition of All Elite Talk. We have a very special guest, Mr. Chip Coffey, who has ties here to Spartanburg, a Dorman graduate, and he's went off and made a great career. Chip is a world-renowned psychic medium and paranormal investigator. He's been on reality TV shows such as Paranormal State, Psychic Kids, and Kindred Spirits, along with a host of celebrity ghost hunts and all kinds of stuff. We're going to get into that here in a moment. We're going to get Chip on the All Elite hotline here. We're going to call him up, but first, just a couple of reminders. October 31st, the All Elite app's coming our way. Halloween Havoc All Elite app launch. We are going to have that hopefully by next Friday, talking about it and go over some of the features. Also, November 6th, we're going to do this the day after the election at Walford live podcast, and we're going to bring the heat to the Walford College campus. But enough about hype. We are going to get Mr. Chip Coffey on the line and have our All Elite Halloween edition kicking off. We'll be right back.
Hello.
Hey Chip, this is Justin Rollins and we are live on the All Elite podcast.
Hello there.
Thank you for joining us. I've already gave you an intro. I've told everyone that you are a renowned psychic medium and paranormal investigator, and you and I talked a little bit last night, and the whole purpose of this today, we're calling this our Halloween episode, and there's a lot of negative connotation when we're talking about ghosts and spirits, and of course, you and I talked last night. That's not the case. We want to bring some of a positive spin to some of this, and where people can understand what it is that you do, your field, and how healing that can be for a lot of people, and a positive thing. So welcome to the show, and if you could tell us, what do you do? What are your gifts, so to speak?
Oh, that's very interesting. First, let's talk, if I can, for a minute about belief systems.
Absolutely.
I'm not here to convince or convert anyone to my ways of thinking. I don't care what anybody believes as long as you're a decent, good person. Believe what you want to believe. But the deal is, what I do has absolutely nothing to do with the devil, Satan, Lucifer, anything like that. And if some people look at it as the Bible says you're not supposed to talk to spirits and stuff like that, they also have soothsayers and people that did that in the Bible.
Right.
Come on. Let's don't get too Christian and cherry pick the Bible here.
And so many people do that. You pick and choose one thing, and that you can't have one thing and say another. I agree with you on that.
You can't have the cafeteria plan when it comes to the Bible. You either got to go all in, or you got to stay away.
I totally agree.
Here's the deal. I was born and raised Christian, Catholic Christian. Some people don't think Catholics are Christian, but we are. And if you really go back, it's the original Christian church. People argue with that, but the deal is Saint Peter was one of the apostles, one of the disciples, and he followed Jesus very closely. And the first church that he established was the Church of the Rock. And what is that? That's Catholic Church. So the deal is, I was raised Christian and Catholic, and those people that come at me with religious stuff, I just say to them, look, I probably pray more every day than you do. I have a very close and personal and profound relationship with God, and that is nobody else's business how I form that relationship. I'm not overly religious. I'm very faithful, however. So I spend a lot of my time in gratitude and prayer. Let's get that out of the way.
Got it.
And the deal is this. What do? I know things about people, places, and things. I know information about people oftentimes that I can't get using my five human senses, which I define that as intuition or psychic ability.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that I have the ability to do is talk to people who have passed away and are willing to come back and communicate with those of us who are still here in the living world or the third dimension. I'm a psychic and a medium, and that's what that means.
When did you first realize that you had this intuition, this gift? That's very powerful.
Thank you. I will tell you that I have strong ties to the upstate region, particularly Spartanburg and the surrounding communities in Spartanburg. My parents were both from Spartanburg, and they met and married in Spartanburg. And my aunt, my dad's sister, married a guy during the Second World War. He was stationed at Camp Croft, and they met and married, and he lived in a little town called Elmira, New York, which is really close to the Pennsylvania border, mid-state. And he took my aunt to live there after he came back from the Second World War. And my mom and dad went to visit, liked the area, and stayed there for a while, and that's where they happened to be when I was born. But I was born in the north to very southern parents. And they took me back to Spartanburg when I was about 1.5 years, and I stayed there until I was 10 years old. I lived out on Airport Road.
Right. I know where that's at, yep.
Then our house burned down.
Oh, wow.
And everybody should remember the Cedar Lane Bait and Toy Ranch. Everybody of a certain age will remember Cedar Lane Bait and Toy Ranch. That was where the area that I lived in.
Okay.
And I will tell you that our house burned down when I was 10 years old, and we went back to New York and stayed there, and I lived in a very haunted house for a while, and from the time I was 10 to 14, and I came back to Spartanburg between 8th and 9th grade, and from 9th grade, I went to Roebuck Junior High School, and in 10th, 11th, and 12th grades, I went to Dorman High School, and after Dorman, we moved back to the north, and that's the last time that I've actually resided in the Spartanburg area. But after all that, answering your question, when I was very small, living in Spartanburg as a toddler, my parents owned a restaurant, and they told me that I would be playing with my toys, and all of a sudden I'd look funny and look at the phone, and shortly after that, the phone would ring. And as I became verbal, I would stop what I was doing, look at the phone, say a name like Aunt Helen, and within, say, 60 seconds or so, the phone would ring, and it would be my Aunt Helen on the other end of the phone. So it's kind of like an early version of caller ID was what they first met.
Wow, that's funny. So I guess things started advancing, and more things started happening like that with you. Was your parents leery? Because that's a different generation, right? So how did they accept that? Obviously, they knew you had something special going on.
The interesting part about it is that my parents both had strange things happen in their families, both my dad and my mom.
Okay, so this just wasn't you were the first one.
They weren't freaked out by it at all.
Okay, good.
You know, Dad had ghostly, weird, unexplainable things happen. My grandmother Coffey, we called her Granny. How good and southern is that? My Granny Coffey read tea leaves, so that's a little play on words. The coffee woman who read tea leaves. So, you know, and they had weird, strange, unexplainable things happen in their family. So when they had a kid that had these abilities, they weren't freaked out about it, and they were actually quite supportive of me and my abilities. And then when we moved back to the north when I was 10 years old after the house burned, we lived in the haunted house, and you had no choice but to think that there was some weird stuff going on because it happened on a daily basis.
Well, what were some of the things that happened in the haunted house? That was it?
You heard footsteps. There were cold spots in the house. Doors opened and closed.
Oh, wow.
The piano would play single notes on its own. We would, the lights on the chandeliers in the house would turn on by themselves. They had little pull cords on them, and you had to pull the little metal chains on them to turn on the individual lamps, and they would turn on by themselves. Nothing malicious at all ever happened.
Right.
But the Irish immigrant family, the only other family that had ever lived in the house before we bought the place in an estate sale, they were very present in that house.
Wow. Which leads me to this. We see shows and movies. How often do they get the paranormal stuff right? And some of the stuff you've just named, I see that like in TV shows a good bit, but why do they play it so malicious? Do you see a lot of that in your line? Is it ever malicious?
It can be malicious, no doubt about it. But I would have to say the vast majority of hauntings, which haunting isn't a bad word, it's just the presence of paranormal activity. The vast majority of hauntings are more like mom and pop garden variety things. Look at it this way, honestly. Look at movies like Amityville Horror and The Conjuring and all the movies that they're selling tickets.
So they got to hype it up, right?
Oh, they go in. People like to be scared. People like to get scared of these things. And so, with the TV shows particularly, some of them have production crew members that are out there looking for the worst case scenarios.
Right.
They're out there looking for these cases that are so negative or scary or whatever because people want to watch that. People want to see that sort of stuff. So basically, it becomes scary stuff becomes a cash cow, especially the nasty, scary stuff.
Yeah, the blood and guts, that sells. You look at
it. Sells 100%.
That's our hot ticket.
Look, and that's the reason that this is going on the way that it is. How often do you see shows, the wonderful, lovely things that spirits do? Where do you see movies about, or TV shows that often about angels and miracles and things like that?
You can probably count them on one hand. Touched by an Angel for one, I remember that one. But you can count them on one hand, honestly. It doesn't sell. Good stuff, wholesome stuff doesn't sell anymore. You're right about that. Not as much. Not as much.
But if you look at movies like historically, from even way back in the day, they were doing vampire movies. They were doing Frankenstein. They were doing The Mummy. They were doing things like. I remember when I was in college, The Exorcist came out, and it was the talk. And then the Conjuring movies, and the Amityville Horror movies, and those sort of things, they became very popular. But I'm here to tell you that vast majority of things that I've experienced some very ugly things, but the vast majority of times that I've come into contact with spirits, they might have been active, but they're not going to be rampaging Captain Howdy from The Exorcist type entities.
I'm sure you have seen some very strange things. You're not going to go into anything gruesome, but what's the strangest, one of the strangest encounters you've seen?
A young girl who was possessed intermittently, and that got my attention.
Oh, wow. Okay. So and we see a lot of that with the movies.
If you really do have a demonic possession, from my experience, what you saw, or what we saw in the movie The Exorcist, isn't that far off the money.
Wow.
It's pretty close.
Wow.
It can go to that extreme.
Wow.
But that's a minute percentage of things that happen.
Right.
They can happen, but they usually things, people will call me and say, I'm hearing voices in my house, I'm hearing footsteps, and doors are opening and closing, things like that. I'm feeling a shiver or whatever. Unless things start to get really wonky, and I'm saying people start to get hurt, or they're vastly negative things that are going on. If you don't smell certain smells or things like that, then my theory is every place has spirit activity. A lot of people have died in this world.
And you and I, we talked last night, and I'm a firm believer, just because we can't see it right in front of us doesn't mean it doesn't exist. There's a lot out there that we just can't put our finger on, but that doesn't mean it's not there.
All right, let me stop you for a second while you're on that topic and think about this. You can't see God either.
True, very true. And we go to church every Sunday and praise Him.
You can't see God either. You can't see Jesus. You can't see saints. You can't see any of them. You believe in that, and it's about belief.
Right.
It's about faith and belief. What you believe is very subjective. And lots of people turn their nose up at things. Let's be real about this. Jesus rose from the dead. Let's put it this way. His mother supposedly went to heaven, and she ascended. There's things happened even in scripture that could be defined as paranormal.
Exactly. Exactly.
And people say to me, I know that there's some very strong fundamentalist Christians who say when you're dead. And that's fine. If that's what you want to believe, I'm not going to, but don't expect everybody
Right.
to adhere to your beliefs. There's different people that believe different things. So I'm not going to down anybody's beliefs. I might not accept or share those beliefs, but as long as you're not hurting anybody else. What I don't like is when somebody tries to proselytize to me or come and convert me to their ways of thinking, because that doesn't sound well with me.
Absolutely. I was going to ask you earlier, did you, like the college age, high school age, did you share with like your peers, your friends, that you had the gifts, and how did they take it? Like, just...
All right, so you got to understand that we didn't have the internet back then. I was born about the time that Moses knocked water out of a rock. You look at the time that I was born, and gossip was shared over the backyard fence. And the deal is that there were people who knew what I could do.
Right.
Absolutely, but it wasn't the big news at all. And nobody really made a big deal out of it.
Okay. So it wasn't like this taboo or shocking thing. People, for the most part, accepted it for what it was.
Oh, yeah. I've had my share of protesters and haters when I've done events and things like that in the past. But you know what? Stay in your own lane.
Right.
In your own lane. Don't go all Westboro Baptist Church on me.
You're not going to their job and protesting them, so...
Well,
yeah.
You know what? You got a point.
We talked about one of the strangest things, positive spin. What's one of the most rewarding things that you've seen in your dealings?
My goal is to provide for the people that are my clients, is to provide comfort and healing and clarity to those people. And I feel like I've done a pretty good job of doing that in my years of doing this, which I've been a professional psychic and medium since 2001. And I feel like I've done a really good job with the thousands of clients that I've had in those years.
So we're in the same lane as far as I've helped hundreds of people physically achieve their goals, and this is not too far off of I'm providing a different type of healing. We're all going in one direction.
It's helping people.
At the end of the day, it's helping people.
It's helping people.
And people come to me, and a lot of times it's therapy sessions. I may be making them do push-ups. I'm sure in your dealings is very therapeutic for a lot of people to come and, hey, I didn't get the closure I needed with this individual. Is there anything? And I'm sure on that note that you've been able to lead people to closure, I may dare say.
That's my goal.
And at the end of the day, there's nothing more, I would say, rewarding when you can help somebody find peace. And that's the business we're in. We're wanting to help people find their way in this life and make life just a little easier, and mentally and physically.
I'm a very humble kind of guy. Everybody has an ego, but I've not got an overblown sense of self. I take my work very seriously. Myself, not so much. I'm not St. Chip of Georgia. I'm not. And I try to lead as good a life as I possibly can and be as kind and nice of a guy as I can possibly be. But I haven't got this overinflated sense of self. I do what I can. I can't save the world, but I can do what I can to try to help those people who come to me seeking out my help. And that's how I live my life. I live my life, honestly, Justin, with a lot of gratitude. I'm thankful for the life I have. Every day for the things I have. And you're doing that too. You're doing something that you feel is making a difference. And you're extending yourself outward and helping other people who, without your assistance, might not find what they're looking for or achieve what they're trying to achieve.
Last week we did a warm-up for a suicide prevention walk, and that was, we only got out there for 5 minutes, but to have that many people come up and say, thank you, that's lost all these people, it's just a different reward. It's not about the money, it's not about, like you said, the praise. It's just when you actually can help someone that day, that could get them to another day. That could get them to another week. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes we're vessels, and a lot of times that's the best way to put it.
And for me, I feel selfish, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I feel selfish, and that's an okay thing for me to feel, and for you to feel, or for anybody that helps to feel. Part of me helping other people is it makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's selfish for me because I like to feel good.
Right.
And so the deal is, if it makes me feel good, then it's a win.
I'm on the floor a lot of times 12 to 15 hours, and that's it, because just like you, I'm chasing that because I like to feel good, because I feel good when others feel good.
I'm trying to earn brownie points from God, too. No doubt. I'm not going to lie about that.
Right. We all are.
I hope. I think that's what I'm doing. I know that's what I'm doing. There was this old TV show on called Inside the Actor's Studio, and they always did a questionnaire at the end. And the last question that was always asked of the celebrities on that show was, when you get to heaven, what do you hope God says to you? It's a very thought-provoking question, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And you want to hear my answer?
What's that?
And I'm going to get emotional when I say this to you. What I hope to hear God say to me is, welcome home, Chip, you done good.
Wow. That's all you can ask for. Now that's very powerful. And that's something I would want to strive for, because if you get the job well done from God, that's it. You did what you needed to do. You used your gifts, and you helped who you needed to help to the best of your abilities. And that's very powerful. Thank you so much. If anyone needs your advice, your help, to get in touch with you, what's your best way, Chip, to do?
You can pretty much find me listed under Chip Coffey, and there's a lot of impersonators out there, so look for the number of followers on social media, and if they have, unless you see the blue and white check mark, and because I am verified on all social media, and unless you see a lot of followers on that account, that's not me.
Gotcha.
Probably the easiest way to find me is to go to my website at Chip Coffey, spelled ChipCoffey.com. I branded myself with my name.
Perfect. Halloween, is this your busiest time of year?
Historically, the answer is yes, but unashamedly, I'm 70 years old, and I'm slowing down a little bit.
I understand.
I'm not traveling as much as I did, and I'm just pumping the brakes a little bit, not completely, but taking it a lot slower. I'm headed to do an event that I like in New Jersey, and I'm doing an event in Illinois in November, also in the Chicagoland area, and then doing an event in Buffalo, New York, an event in Kansas City. So I'm traveling a little bit, but not as much as I used to. And I do personal phone readings for people all the time, and I do group Zoom sessions for people also. So I'm taking it a little easier than I was, and indeed I am, but I'm still staying pretty active.
Sounds like you got a lot on the books, and a lot of ways people can come out and see you, and we'll direct them to your website. And look, Chip, if you're ever in the Spartanburg area again, I would love to meet up with you, and we can get together.
We'll go to the Beacon.
Hey, that's it. We talked about it yesterday. Let's go to the Beacon.
I'm ready to go to the Beacon.
Next time you're in Spartanburg, me, you, and Jose, we're going to the Beacon our treat.
Hey, that's even better. Free food is good food.
Absolutely.
Happy Halloween, happy Thanksgiving. Let's go all the way. Merry Christmas.
Absolutely.
And I hope all your listeners are doing well and being... This is one last thing before we're done. You want to know what I pray for?
What's that?
For myself and all the people that I care about, that we are happy, and it's an acronym. My acronym is HASH. Funny, we're talking about the Beacon. HASH. My acronym is happy, abundant, safe, and healthy.
That's all you need. If you have that, you have everything.
You're preaching to the choir over here.
That's perfect. That is absolutely perfect. Because without any of those, you have nothing.
Yes, you're right.
So,
thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Chip.
Much love to you and to Jose. And
absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will talk soon and look forward to the Beacon. All right, Chip.
Right.
Have a great one. All right. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
It's time for the lightning round. We're going to put 60 seconds on the clock, and you must answer these questions. while showing your scariest face?
I don't know how to do my scariest face.
First question. What was your favorite Halloween candy as a kid?
Candy corn.
What's your favorite Halloween candy as an adult?
Candy corn.
What was your favorite Halloween movie as a kid?
Halloween.
What was your favorite Halloween movie as an adult?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
What's your favorite Halloween costume as a kid?
A baseball player.
Your favorite Halloween costume as an adult?
Gibby.
Who is your favorite Halloween villain? Carrie, Jason, or Freddy, or someone else?
I would say Jack Nicholson from The Shining.
What are the best places to trick or treat in Gaffney?
College Drive.
What's the best way to spend Halloween as an adult?
Inside with the lights turned out, watching scary movies.
How old is too old to trick or treat?
Never.
Time. You have completed the lightning
I
round.
don't know
You
what
have
a scary
earned a
face
fist bump.
Thank you. Halloween edition. This is going to wrap it up. This is the All Elite Halloween edition. Thank you for joining us. We've got a lot coming down the pike, and hopefully you all stay safe. And you know what? Come back here after you eat all that candy, all those treats, and we will get you back in shape. But the number one rule is stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you back here next Friday.